Hello there. Stream should be live now with sound in the background. Let me check. Perfect. Sound works. Welcome to the Corso Workshop live stream. I'm Kurt, and yeah, today we will be doing something a little bit interesting. First of all, I would like to thank you for joining us on the live stream. There are a couple of viewers already. Um, right. What's this? Yeah, good. A sip of water. We'll wait a few minutes before we actually get started. I think we've got something a little bit interesting today, something which I haven't done in quite some time. And I should have gotten the books from upstairs. I forgot about those. Today we'll be making some foam smithing, which is basically the way to make props out of foam, specifically EVA foam. Today we'll be making axes. I've got well, not a prototype, but this is my actual camping axe that I have. It's a very cheap version. In the future, I'm going to revisit it, make a proper wooden handle for it, take care of it properly. It's seen a couple of years use. Not particularly like the rubber grip either. But what we're going to be making today are prop foam axes, which can be um, used in a safe manner. They won't harm any people if hit with the head. We'll be using a wooden stave for the handle. So given that it is a straight sort of broomstick-like handle, we'll be making a tomahawk. However, I would like to get some books from upstairs to show you and talk about a little bit about foam smithing, where it started, where I found my roots in foam smithing. So if you just hang in there for a second, I'll be right back. And back. Sorry about that. So, foam smithing. Where should we start? Okay, yes, okay. So, what is foam smithing? First of all, foam smithing is, as I said already, is the way foam props are made. It's, I mean, it's a name that kind of picked up after years of use. It used to be like prop making using EVA foam, and EVA foam is this sort of foam. It's also known as floor mat foam. It's somewhat dense. Sometimes comes with a texture at the back. It's like this pressed texture in it, but it's got one very smooth side, which we will make very good use of. So, foam smithing has been, I think, popularized by a lot of YouTube makers. In particular, Punished Props, Bill and Brittany Doran, and their team, of course. Kamui Cosplay in Germany, I believe, Cologne, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And a lot of others, like, Evil Ted, very good, big prop makers out there who have their YouTube channels and they are established and they use foam, EVA foam to make props. Now, I have Bill Doran's foam smithing books, like 1 and 2. I'm still missing the third one. This is Bill Doran in his glory. These are, I'm very happy to say, these are signed books. I asked him to sign them for me when I bought them, so I'm actually very proud to own these. And they're very useful because they give you a little bit of an insight on how to you know make stuff work on foam. And this is one of the materials that can be very deceptive, in the sense that foam is very unassuming as a material. It's not like leather, where immediately there's a bit of an exotic material. No, foam is rather unassuming. But the things that you can make, like for example this Draugr from Skyrim, that's made by Bill Doran, and that is made completely out of foam. As is this weapon and the costume behind it. These are from Destiny, if I am not mistaken. The axe at the back here, also from I don't know if it's from Skyrim, the Mass Effect armor, everything. These are all foam equipment, foam props, and it's quite amazing to see that such a material can be used to, replicate any other material used in the film industry or gaming industry. Like for example, metal, leather. You can even make foam look like leather with very simple techniques. So I'm very excited to get started today. Today we'll be making, as I said earlier, we'll be making a couple of X's. I think we'll be making 2 or 3. We'll be using this wooden dowel. It's 25 mil diameter wooden dowel. It's a nice comfortable grip. It is the same kind of dowel that I use for my storm, for my thunder hammer. With the video went up online, published yesterday, so make sure to go check it out if you'd like. But basically I used this exact dowel. I bought 2 of these, and this is the remaining one. This is about a meter long. Yes, 1000 mil, so it's a meter long. I won't need all of it, but this is why I have the X today, so I can compare like the length of what I would need. Now, I haven't done foam smithing in quite a long time, and foam smithing is not my area of expertise, I'll admit. However, there are a couple of good Maltese foam smithers as well. I've worked with them in the past. I've discussed stuff with them in the past. Um, so, I mean, the resources are there. If you'd like to get started in foam smithing, you definitely do not need a huge workshop. You just need, as you see, what the material I'll be using today is very, very simple. With the exception perhaps of a heat gun. Maybe you'll have to buy that if you don't own one. And you can make most of the stuff out of hot glue and EVA foam. So you just need a knife to cut material with, and that's it. Basically, I think that's all I'm going to be using in terms of equipment, like a knife, ruler, heat gun. I mean, you could use a sander, you can use a Dremel, but I think I will dispense with those. Perhaps the belt sander, I'll use it a little bit to refine some edges. But other than that, I mean, you really don't have to. And that's, I think, where we'll get started today. We'll get started by making a template. I've got my camera set up behind me over here, so we'll be seeing where I am working on the workbench. Yeah, there isn't much else to say about foam smithing. It's just a really interesting concept and a really interesting technique to get into. So, actually, truth be told, I think foam smithing was my first ever project as a maker. Like in the past 4 years, like when I actually started making properly, like for myself and like in a workshop and stuff like that. Even before I built this workbench, before I published my very first video, which was an adapter for this tripod for my GoPro, because that was the only camera I had at the time. Even before that, I think the first thing I ever made was the Hunter's Knife from Destiny in EVA foam. I don't have it anymore because I really wasn't happy with the result, but that was the first thing that I made. So foam smithing is a very worthwhile endeavor. So I highly recommend it. Without any further ado, let's just swap over cameras. Perfect. Good. So I think the first thing to do is to start by laying out a template, like starting to design what the axe will look like. Is it going to be like this, where it's a hatchet? Is it going to be a tomahawk? Is it going to be something of a bearded axe? I am not an expert in axes at all. I'm not an expert. Sorry. Yeah, I won't stop with the dad jokes probably, or with the lame jokes. I'm an expert, not. Okay. So yes, we've got the basic shape we want to follow. I won't be able to do the contours with using this very thin dowel, 25 mil. I don't have enough space to work with. Besides, I don't want to spend a lot of time shaping wood. So let's get some paper. We can get started. I'll get a couple of sheets just to be safe. And basically what we'll be doing is, I don't need the stool for now to sit. So now I think the best thing to do is just take a template and then perhaps reverse it. But as you can see, I don't have enough space here. So in this case, we shall, let me get the mat from under the camera. There we go. camera, and let us start by taping some paper together to make a larger paper. Scotch tape somewhere here. You can also use masking tape for this. I just found this on hand first. Doesn't need to be super precise. I just need it to serve its purpose, and it does. So, hello, if you're just joining us for the Corso workshop live stream. I'm Kurt, of course, and today we're making foam prop axis using this template, using my camping hatchet. So, as you can see over here, I have enough space. Good. All right, so we'll take a pencil. Basically, this is how I start most of my templates, right? I mean, it's a very simple technique. Just if I want to trace something over here, doesn't need to be the perfect shape yet. I'm not going to copy the other side for several reasons. First of all, I may not get it mirrored, and that's a little bit tough to make. And secondly, I want to change the shape of this. Now, this is going to be a commission for a friend of mine. However, from here you can take it to all sorts of different looks and different avenues, right? You can make this look a little bit more fantasy. You can make it look a little bit more realistic. You can change the shape, add spikes, etc., etc. In my case, I think I'm just going to make this is supposed to be like a throwing axe kind of thing, and I think the first thing that comes to mind as a throwing axe is a tomahawk. So for at least for the first iteration of this, let's just draw straight line. Now that is definitely not straight, as in, do I have? Oh, I can use this. A little bit of an overkill. Hey, whatever works. Okay, so let's draw the straight line again. Try to get it to match the back. Okay. The upper line, we can carry it over to the other side if we need to. Okay, good. Cool. Let us start by, let's trim down the paper a little bit so we have a bit more to work, a little bit easier space to work with. Doubt we'll need more than this. Now, okay, so we are going to have a flat top. I feel like we should have a bit of a lower, like a, what if we had like, yeah, I think I like that better. A bit of a sort of less of a curved face, a bit of a longer bit or blade. We need to have, do we need to have a straight line, or can we have it like a little bit curved? Yes, that's it. I like it. Slightly curved. However, this part I would like it to be straight, as straight as possible. So I'm going to eyeball it because the back of the axe isn't straight. So I'm just going to put that over there, and I'm just going to mark off where the back was. Okay. Now, one thing you can do to make your life a little bit easier is to mark exactly your what your prop outline is, right? So I'm going to mark it with a black pen. May not be very clear on camera, but I can see it just fine over here. And now I am going to okay. For some reason the pen is having some issue writing on the paper. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that design. Okay. Now, of course, this is going to be my midpoint. Okay, just yeah, this mat really needs replacing. I say it every week, but it really needs replacing. Okay. All right. Okay. So I am going to um, fold the paper over, mirror it. Okay. Actually, on this side, I might just give it another piece of scotch tape just to make sure I don't get any movement out of the paper. A little bit overkill, I know. But hey, I mean, whatever works, right? Okay, goes there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is very simply fold over the paper, but I would like to start creasing it. Of course, it needs to be creased the other way. Now I have a line to follow. Okay. Just in case I didn't, um, just in case I did not, what do you call it, stick the paper well enough together. Now here's one thing that comes to mind very immediately. This is about the same size as this. It does not account for the back, so I should actually account for the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out about 25 centimeters, let's say an inch and a half. You can always take off material, so you can never add more. So let's mark an inch and a half there, and an inch and a half there. Strike a line, so we know where we have marked, and basically refold the paper up to that edge. Okay. So this is my actual midpoint. Now, in my case, I'm just going to start cutting. I'm going to use an X-Acto knife because it's just easier to use in this case. Okay, let me see if I can do this. A nice clean cut. Okay. Nice. Okay. Let me just. I dislike cutting with the blade on the inside of the prop. I'd rather do it the other way around. But just be careful not to overshoot and overcut into it. Okay. And from here we are going to do that. Make sure that this doesn't move because we need it to be symmetrical. Sorry, I have to cover it with my hand a little bit because the paper is creasing on me. It's a little bit too thin. And it's creasing on me. Okay, so that's our template basically. So far, easy enough. Now, okay, so if we open it, this is basically the template. I've seen actual metal axes being made using this technique with a template like this, where basically they would trace this on a piece of steel, cast out with an angle grinder, and then forge it shut again. I've seen that being done. So yeah, this is a legitimate technique, much to my surprise. So now we're going to transfer this onto the EVA foam. Now this piece of foam in particular used to sit under my 3D printer to reduce vibration on the 3D printer. It serves its purpose well enough. So basically now I'm going to retire it. I think the easiest thing to do, or is first, cut a straight line. Now let's start by cutting a line in foam. Now this is where it starts to get a little bit more nuanced, in the sense that you can cut foam with just about anything, but I find that the best results are obtained using a box cutter like this. You can even use a trapezoid blade, like the Maker knife, or one of these knives. Okay, it's fine. But I find that this is the best one, especially if you're using thicker leather. Now, one thing to keep in mind is sorry, for thicker foam. Sorry. One thing to keep in mind, just like cutting leather, it needs to be kept perpendicular. If you angle it at any point, it's going to have an angled cut with an under or overbite. Now, we need to make sure it is properly honed, so I'm going to use my leather strop. I'm going to put some jeweler's compound on it and strop the blade against it. To make sure it is sharp and well polished. Let's see if it is. That is how easy. Okay? That's how sharp it is. So that we can work with. Now I need a bit of a longer ruler. I can use this one. And since I'm right-handed, I'm going to cut. So I'm going to have to give my back to this camera a little bit, but yeah. So these, it doesn't matter whether if it isn't like a straight line or perpendicular to the edges. What matters is that it is a straight line. So I'm going to start with that. Out of the way. Okay. I'm going to try and keep it as straight as possible, resting on the ruler. So a nice clean cut. Doesn't seem to be too much of an underbite, so it didn't angle it so much. So far so good. Good. So let me get a bit of a different pen now. It's a gold one. Yeah. Do I still have all the silver ones? Let's see. I don't think I do, but okay. This gold one should do just fine. On dark foam, I like to use like a silver or a gold pen. I don't know if this still works. It does somewhat. Let's see if we can. Now, the straight edge will serve two purposes. First of all, it will be the top of the blade, and secondly, it will serve as a guide to these. Okay. Trying to see whether there is a better way to do this. I think I can actually use a little bit of scotch tape to tape it in place. Let me see if I can get a couple pieces cut. At least I won't have to worry about both sides moving at the same time. So, and since this is a straight line, I can mark it and then cut it with a ruler or with the X-Acto knife. Okay, so basically you start by going around and marking the outline. What you need to keep in mind is that when you are going to cut the foam, you need to cut on the inside of the line, because otherwise your prop will be larger than your template. That will not do, right? Okay, it's okay if you ruin your template at this point. Okay, see, here is the line where we are tracing. And I think now that if we remove this, you can see that we have marked the template. Now, I haven't been in this stage in ages, and I really miss seeing something like this. I really enjoy foam smithing. I don't know why I don't do it so often. Maybe because like foam is, it's not a difficult material to get a hold of, but it's it's a pain a bit in Malta. So yeah, this is a floor mat. Of course, it has the texture at the back, so we'll have to do something about that. I got a good idea, and I'll show you in a second. So let me just start by cutting. The box cutter is great in this case because it allows you to flex the blade a little bit while cutting curves. Okay, so cut, that is cut. Now we can proceed to cut the rest. Oh, wait, on the inside. So yeah, I always make that mistake. It's very important not to start too far in because then it will be like you were overcutting. You can always go back and finish the cut, but you can't unmake it. Well, you can kind of use glues, but I'd rather not. We'll leave that for the end, for later. Let's see if we can. I think I've made a couple of decent cuts, but that still remains to be seen. So, okay. Over here is very important not to overcut, so I'm going to stop short and go back if I need to. Okay, so that corner over there is not cut properly. I would go with a blade which is straight up and gently saw my way through. The same on this side. Okay, and then back on this side because this is where I was finishing the last cut, I mean. Ah, there we go. Okay, that isn't half bad. So, whew. See? If we compare them, okay, one side is slightly thicker than the other. That's fine. We can always go back and shape it, maybe with a little bit of a sander. I would like to compare this and see how it fares with the dowel. It's way too thick, as it is. I think it's way too. Well, I mean, it's not too bad. Not too bad, not too bad at all. And the texture actually helps me in this case because the texture, like on the inside, it grips the opposite face. So see, it almost locks. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. I can definitely work with that. I could possibly even just carve out a little bit on the inside to sort of seat it a little bit better. Let me mark first and see where I need to seat better. So that, all right. Okay, coolio. Hey, how are you, Mel? Good to see you here. Good to see you here. Okay. Mm. What's this? Okay, so I marked my like this is roughly one spot and this is the other. Like these two gold points over here on camera, actually they're visible a lot better than in real life. This is where the dowel will sit. So I think over here I will either carve a little bit using the knife, hollow out a small section. But to do that a little bit consistently, ideally one would use a Dremel or a belt sander. But for the sake of this experiment, I was going to, perhaps I need a new blade. Let's have a look. New blades are. I forgot where I put my new blades after I reorganized my shop. So is it in here? Oh, these are the trapezoid blades. I think they're still in the box. Oh yeah, here they are. Missed them. Missed them completely. Okay, now I also have another spare one in the back. So okay. Also keep a spare one in the bag just in case. Usually I keep it there for when I'm out. Okay. I'm almost out of blades, so that will need to go on the shopping list. Cool. More stuff to buy. Okay. Good. That goes there. This one can go back in its place. Oh, come on. We'll keep it here. It's more handy to have over here. Now, I will also, I mean, this is a fresh, brand new blade, so it will definitely be sharp, but I think it's good practice to sort of hone it a little bit as well, just to be safe, all along the blade. Have a look and see how sharp it is. Front and end of blade, very sharp, perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to sort of carve out a small slice and try to get that as, actually, let me mark the middle just to make sure. 3.5 inches, so somewhere around here. That's about the center. Okay, now let's see if we can match it on the other side. Try not to go too deep. As always, we can take off material, but we cannot add. Easily, at least. Let's see. Okay, we took a little bit more of the back than I'd like to. See if we can match that up a little bit. Doesn't need to be perfect. It's going to get squished against the dowel anyway. Let's have a look. And I think once we squish that, I think that thickness is a little bit better around the dowel. It's not a whole like 1 centimeter all around. Yeah, that's definitely better. And we'll squish that in with using some contact cement. Perfect. Okay, now I'm not quite sure whether I should. Can I fit this in afterwards? Yes, I can. So I'm going to start by gluing the faces together, then work on the dowel later. I think we'll have time to only make one on this live stream, but it's fine. So some sandpaper perhaps. Start with some thicker grit. Foam, EVA foam actually takes very, very well to sandpaper. So yeah, you can really shape it nicely. Also gives it a good surface for the glue to grip on. Try to have it even. That's almost even. And it generates a lot of dust. Alrighty, yeah. This is, now I remember why I started slowing down on foam smithing, is the dust. Yeah. on this side. Let's put it on a magnet. Don't forget that. Okay. Next, I wonder if I should sand away some of this texture, but I feel like the texture is sort of helping the gripping part. Like it's helping. It's it's almost helping me, you know. So I wonder if I should take it off. To be fair, I think I should, because even though it helps me, it is so uneven that it will leave like a visible gap, especially once I hit it with a heat gun. So perhaps a sanding block will do. I have a small one here, some heavy grit sandpaper, which almost did absolutely nothing. I think this was actually working better. Yeah, okay. Maybe I should use the belt sander. Hey, Rockin' R! And Chief is online as well. Let's see if I can enlarge the chat a little bit. Okay. Hey, R. So, first of all, welcome to the live stream. Thank you for joining. Today we are working on foam smithing. We're making a couple of prop foam axes and yeah, EVA foam axes. As I've said already, I haven't done foam smithing quite some time, so I'm quite actually enjoying getting back into this. However, I need to perhaps send this face flush. Tell you what I'll do. Okay, tell you what I'll do. Okay, yeah, that works. I'm just going to get some spray adhesive. All right, spray adhesive. We don't get Super 77 over here. Well, maybe we do. Maybe it's not very as easily accessible to us. So I usually have to make do with what I find. Let me just spray it over there. This stuff stinks. I can't imagine any glue would smell nice, but this stuff particularly stinks. Wait for it to dry a little bit. Ah, the Trymaker tournament was fun, man. I am honestly, I was a little bit gutted that we never actually got to finish it because it was so much fun to work with other makers. As a maker in Malta, you don't get a lot of people to. Ooh, okay, this we don't need anyway. As a maker in Malta, you don't get to interact with a lot of other makers locally. There aren't many of us. So when I interacted with other makers, I was quite pleased. It's actually where I started making friends, maker friends actually, I think. That was it before or after the first Maker Central? I can't remember. What I know is that through it, Kit and I especially, we started really, interacting a lot, like following each other a lot and supporting each other. It was, really, really good to have like a maker buddy. Okay, so I don't know what happened here. I ripped some of it off, but basically I made a sanding block. Doesn't need to be perfect. I just need to take off most of the texture over here. Need to do another one like it. It was fun while it lasted. That's true. It's true. Skill 3 and I are working on another collaboration at the moment. So there's that coming up, and we might have a project which may include other makers. We're not clear on it yet, but we'll see. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I remember. That's where you joined us, actually. I was never big on the whole Discord thing. I'm not a huge Discord guy. But sort of Clever was on it, and he really knew what he was doing, right? His Discord is banging. It's not perfectly flat, but so far so good. I just need to. Yeah, one thing of consideration. Also, when you're sanding foam, especially with power tools, and you're generating a lot of foam dust in the air, wear protection. In my case, I'm not generating a lot of foam dust, and I'm just using a sanding block. But if I were going to use a sander, I'm going to actually put a mask. Okay, this thing is not this. You don't want this in your lungs. You can keep on going until this is perfectly smooth and flat. In my case, I don't need it that much. I can actually see right now that on one side it is a lot smoother, a lot flatter. Some high spots I need to take off. Go over here. Okay, and now we'll do the other side. That took us what? A couple of minutes? Not even, I guess. So speaking of the Trimaker tournament, I really want to do another thing, on the same lines. On the same lines, in the sense that not exactly like a make-off thing, not like a competition kind of thing, like who does it better. I want to make something along the lines of I start making something and then I pass on to another maker who continues working on it. And I think it would be fun if we did not actually tell each other what we were making and just send them. It's like, okay, this is where I am so far, and do whatever you want with it, and sort of have it travel the world and see what it ends up being like. I think that would be interesting. We could involve a lot of makers like that. Might actually do something like that around Christmas, though. Christmas is always a good time. The holiday season is always a good time to do something like that and sort of have something travel the world. And then see, like, in a year what the result is. Okay. Now, that's already much better. Yeah, that's already much better. Okay, so I'm going to work with this. Just a second. Dust it off. Let me get this dust out of the way. Make a blank and send it to me. I'll turn it on and see what it becomes. Definitely, I've been meaning to make a couple of blanks to send even to Chris, the blind wood turner. God, I think that's 2 years overdue. Yeah, I need to make blanks. Not quite sure of what, but I will, and I'll be in touch. Definitely. By the way, speaking of, did you receive the where is it? You received the potion holder, the other one? Okay. Yeah, perfect. Good news. Good. So, okay, let's carry on. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the two pieces together. I'm going to mark. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm going to mark where I need to stop the glue from spreading for now, and those edges seem to be like a good reference. Okay, yeah, something of the sort. Excuse me. Okay, we've got a bit more edge on the front, which is fine, a bit more lip on the bottom, which is fine. We can shape that out easily. What are we on time? Okay, we're 50 minutes in already. Okay, so in terms of glue, you can use hot glue, you can use cyanocrylate. For stuff that you want it to last, you would use a contact cement. Okay, this is next weekend actually. My God's arrival time. Perfect. Excuse me. Wow, coughing a lot. Okay, I need a spatula. This is a contact cement, and basically what I need to do is cover the whole surface. Okay, need to make sure not to cover areas which I designated as, you know, no glue zone, so to speak, at least for now. I'll add contact cement later to it to stick it to the wood, but not just yet. And what I will do is spread it using a metal. So you can use a silicone brush for this. Probably used a lot over here, but yeah. Make sure to cover all the edges because those are the ones that are going to pry apart first. You don't want them to peel while you are, you know, displaying the prop. Okay. I think also the foam does absorb a bit of the contact cement. Oh, it's definitely got a potent smell, which I do not particularly like. I should be working in a much more ventilated space now. Hopefully in the coming months I'll have, we're working on acquiring a new workshop. So that will definitely have a more ventilated space. I could open windows, it will be a little bit more quiet. Got big plans for that. So yeah, but not just yet. So for now we'll have to make do. Let's just leave this here. It can dry peacefully. Start clearing up some of the things we don't need. The axe, for example. Okay. Okay. So, how's everyone doing? I've seen a couple of messages in chat. Chief is working from home, working. Yeah, we've got Melissa, Apisauri Atelier, we have Rockinar. Okay, so the trick with the glue is to, when you touch it, it needs to be tacky but not wet. Okay, so right now it's still wet. This is tacky and I can feel it's a little bit wet. So let's give it a few more minutes. Usually we need to let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes. At least that is what most American makers say. In Malta, in my case, I find that this dries incredibly quickly and it's a very warm atmosphere. So yeah, also fanning it helps a little bit. A little bit though. Boom, did you get some glue in my mouth? Got something there. Ugh. Okay. This goes to the side, this goes to the side. Okay. I'm transferring some embroidering patterns using brick and brown cement. What is that? That is interesting. Brick and bronze. I've never seen that. We'll have to have a chat about that later. Really, I'm interested. I'm not into embroidery much myself, but I've been working on my second Witcher School Canvassing. I was thinking about making some sort of embroidery on it, maybe. So I'll have to have a chat with you on that. Okay, this seems to be fairly dry. Let's wait a few more seconds. Clear up in the meantime. Okay, there we go. There we go. Cool. I'm also working on a belt. on the side for the costume as well, which is like a thick. Um, it's a thick belt which has like two smaller buckets. It's sort of the I can show you actually. It's here. Like this is the belt. It's thick, so it goes around my waist. Like it's significant, but then it sort of forks out into two smaller buckles. Right. Looking forward to seeing how that ends up. And I've chosen like a red, black, and white color scheme, so it's very well outside my comfort zone to wear. But hey, it's a costume and it's nice. Okay, so I think we're done at this point. We're done waiting. Now the trick with this is once it touches, it's fused, so you need to be very careful. So my reference is going to be the top. The top I know it's straight for sure, so I'm going to align it with that. I'm going to do mark with mark so that the hole is equal, right? And that is where I am going to start. Just go gently, make sure that you are getting the faces mated properly. Once you've gotten the top, you can basically mate the rest of it, and that's it. We've already gotten like our basic shape. And you can see I can press over here, and even though it spreads out a little bit over by there, it doesn't let go because contact cement is one of the strongest, craziest kind of glue you can use. Now, okay, we still have some cleanup to do. Obviously, we need to trim the edges and we have to shape it to a point over here, especially and underneath. But I think we're getting somewhere. I think we're getting somewhere. This would go a lot faster using a Dremel or a sanding belt or belt sander or something like that. But it's also fun to do like this. So let us. Yeah. So basically make tiny holes in the pattern and then put white powder all over it. And that's gonna be ooh, that is amazing. That's such a cool thing. I'm sure I could use that on leather as well. Like imagine having like a template with like holes in it and then you spread talcum powder on top of it so that it drops. That's a really cool idea. I never knew about it. It's a freaking promise method and I had no idea it existed. Okay, so I'm going to start by making the face equal. Okay, that is about the same. I'm going to make some marks later on to shape it and stuff like that. Now this is going to be a little bit trickier to do, but we should be able to do it at least in two goes. So okay, we are going to send everything later, so I'm not worrying too much about it. That's close enough for now, and basically you can even stick these two together, just cause. That's how tough this glue is. Like they barely touched and they're fused. Okay. Yeah, man, I'll definitely have to try that, and I will let you know how that goes. Of course, I got some glue on the blade. It's a pity because it's brand new. We can snap off the axis. So let's check that everything still fits. It should have a snug fit now, and yeah, a little bit of glue on that. That's just fine. Also, I can also put like a screw or a rivet or a dowel or something through it. I mean, that's already a respectable prop. But let's make it a little bit better as well. So now, first we're going to shape the blade and we're going to sand everything smooth and then we'll have to seal it because as you noticed, the EVA glue absorbs a lot and that will also absorb spray paint. So it won't take the color so nicely. I have a trick to use for this. It's a technique that I've used in the past as well, like last week and the week before, where basically we'll be priming this black and then we'll be hitting it with some rub and buff to make it really, really metallic. Now, in my case, over here, first I'm going to start by identifying where I want the edge to be. I think something like this is decent. I'm going to try and draw the triangle equally. Okay, so that is where it's going to go. I'm just going to draw a line so that I can have a reference. Actually, I don't even need to draw a line. I just need to mark where I want this to end. There, transfer this to the other side. Okay, it's on the other side. And from here, something of the sort. Yeah, something of the sort. Now, of course, over here I will have to, come on. Okay, and you can start taking off material using the utility blade, the box cutter. Okay, we can start easily, and we need to make sure that the middle line is respected. So I'm going to have to cover this from the camera because I need to work like I'm right-handed. So okay, let me see if I can. Okay, starting to take some of the material off. I can feel that the blade is getting dull. It doesn't cut as much, it starts to smush the the foam. It's very close to the edge. It's okay, we can sand that. Oh, maybe let's try and do it this way. Alrighty, so this is decent. We can keep working with this. See what? I mean, sandpaper is just amazing. I mean, this is just amazing, man. It's like sanding styrofoam. Needs to be sanded a little bit more on the other side. It's actually not bad. Just a little bit down here. Okay, we've got a nick there, and that's fine. We're going to weather it anyway, and we're going to introduce nicks later as well. So, I mean, yeah, okay. So, like the top isn't very even, so I'm going to try and smooth that over. Now, of course, this part needs to be sanded as well. Okay. Now it does have a little bit of a fuzzy texture that will go away using the heat gun. We can also go with like a lower grit as well to sort of refine the edges. But I I don't think we have to. I don't think we need to. I don't feel like it. So, as in, I don't feel like we need to. And just the other side to remove most of the flat bit. It almost comes to a point. So, okay. Brilliant. Okay. Obviously, access would be much thinner, of course, but I mean, it's a prop. Could have easily used like 5 mil foam. I don't have any, unfortunately. Only have the 1 mil or the 2 mil, and I don't feel like gluing like sheets of the 2 mil to use. Okay, so I'm going to sort of soften the edges a little bit using the inner. So we're going to heat seal everything. So yeah, heat sealing will actually make some of the cracks pop. So we'll have to work around that. I'm not sure whether I should be plasti dipping this. I don't think I will waste plasti dip on this because even the texture then doesn't come as nice anyway. I think I'm just going to see if I can coat it with PVA glue and water to try and seal it a little bit. It's not an ideal way. Ideally, you would do something like latex or I don't know, neoprene. I don't have any of those, so I have to make do without. Good. Just clear up. Let's take everything to the trash. Cool. Good, 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 good. Now, this is where we need the heat gun. Okay, so I'm just going to use this as a holder. I'm not putting it in yet, but it's probably going to be around this. Woohoo! Like about that. That is already cool. All right, so I have the heat gun unboxed already. And unlike 3D prints, you need this on the hot setting. When I use 3D prints, I use it usually on the 50-degree setting, which is like about a hairdryer, sort of to make the paint dry faster. And a higher end, it will melt the PLA that I use for my 3D printing. But this, on the other hand, needs to be a very high heat, so about 200 degrees. Yeah, 200 degrees will do the job. I don't know if it will be a little bit loud for the microphone. No, okay, perfect. So I'm just going to do it over here so it doesn't disturb the camera as much or the microphone even. But what the heat does, it seals up the pores of the EVA foam. And I'll show you in just a second what it looks like. Because there is a very subtle difference in texture. It needs a little bit more, but okay. So this side is the side that we have not heat treated. It feels very foamy, very soft. This side feels almost like very smooth plastic. It's not, it doesn't feel as porous. Of course, it still is foam, but it's not as porous. And the thing about this is that if you actually heat up the foam, the EVA foam, you can actually heat form it. So you can make nice curves, nice domes. And I will actually use it later to sort of cinch this a little bit shut. Although as it is now, it seems to be doing the job on its own. So I don't think I will actually bother with heat forming this. But I need to continue heat sealing this. Now, if you have a tiny crack, a tiny seam, a score, it will actually open up and show up on the foam. So you need to be mindful of that. But it's also an advantage. It's also a good property of the material because then you can actually make cool designs and scores on it, and it would be really cool, like textures, which I think I will use soon to make like a fake leather wrap. I won't actually use leather to wrap this since I want this to be a foam prop. But I will use a 2mm foam, make it look like leather, and then see how that works. Okay, so the cheeks seem to be doing okay. I just need to heat seal the the top. Mind your hands, of course. It is a very hot stream of air. Let me see if I can. Yeah, now you think that I'm wearing socks. Yeah. Or make it look like the blade was edged. Definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can definitely do that. Just be careful not to burn the EVA foam, right? That seems about nice. And a lot of people say that this would be enough to seal it properly. Um, I think I would prefer sealing it with heat first to close off the pores and give it a bit of a wash with like PVA glue or something of the sort. I don't know if it will dry enough for us to start painting it today. But if not, we can continue it in the next live stream. In the meantime, I will make more. So yeah, and I think the next iteration will be a little bit thicker. It needs to be a little bit thicker, maybe also a little bit shorter. Maybe an inch and a half was a bit too much. Was it 3 inches? Anyway, maybe make it a little bit shorter. This. But so far, so good. I'm actually very happy with the results. Okay, so that has been formed. We can leave it there for now. It's still hot. Mindful. So, let's see if we can mix some water and PVA. So I've got some water here. I can add a little bit more. Now I don't have an exact ratio for this. I'm actually experimenting a little bit. So I'm not quite sure if this will work just fine. In fact, I think it's best if we take like a, where did the extra piece go? Yeah, yeah. Before we actually do that, let me heat seal one piece. And then I can see if this works or not. Waiting for okay. I know that Mod Podge is a good product to use in this case. I am not sure if we actually have Mod Podge in Malta. I think this could use it a little bit more heating. Yeah, I'll heat this a little bit more because I can feel that it's not the same. I mean, this one I exposed it to a lot more heat, which is good. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm still learning. That's good. That is good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, good, 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 good. Um, that feels very similar to the texture, the heated part over here. Okay, back on track. Let's mix a little bit of PVA glue, polyvinyl acetone, I believe, PVA. And when you don't use it so much, it tends to get clogged. So it's actually quite normal for it to get clogged. So when you don't use it. No, I need to have, what's this? This glue. I need a stirrer. This is the basis of like paper mache, right? Now let's go back a bit. Actually do the sensible thing and make a mess. Oh. Yes, wouldn't be a live stream if I don't make a mess, is it? Okay. Let's. Now, PVA glue should be soluble in water, but I think I have way too much water in here. So maybe drain off a little bit. Okay, and add a little bit more glue. Still a lot, but yeah. You can also paint it with just EVA glue, PVA glue. Okay. I'm not seeing any loose glue. Seems to all be dissolved in the water. Well, it should do. PVA is water soluble, so okay. Still very runny, far too runny for my tastes, but it will have to do for now. Now, do I have an old paintbrush or something that I can use? Two. I could use the red one. No. Don't I have an old paintbrush I can use? Um, so not ideal. I will wash it thoroughly afterwards. This is a bit of a new paintbrush, but it will have to do for now. Let's try. Okay, and that should. Oh, yeah, I don't know how long it will take to dry now. Yeah, definitely not instant. Maybe I can aid it a little bit with warm air. Okay, let's see if this helps a bit. Okay, it's really runny, so it's going to take a long time to evaporate. Oh my god, it's so runny. Okay. Now, I have no idea if this actually helped or not, but I mean that feels like it's well absorbed. It's got some spots in it. Of course, we made a mess as usual, but I don't know. Is it worth bothering with this? Maybe I should just go over the black spray paint. Let's go over just the black. Okay, I'm calling it. I'm going to say that this is not. Look, there is merit to using this system, this way. It's just not what I need for right now. Okay, I need something that will work quickly, and so I can start actually working on this and start painting it. Um, I've I think today will go a little bit longer than 6 o'clock, so we've got more than 40 minutes left. But I would really like to finish this today. So I'm going to put this aside and not use it. I'm just going to wash the brush so that it's clean. But I will try it out on the test piece and see how that performs. Okay, it shouldn't dry out very quickly, this one, so I'll keep it for a bit. Right. So that is cleaned. Let's get another broomstick, which I use. This is the one I use to paint. I may need the stand for it though, so sorry about that. Now, okay, so basically I have this workhorse over here, right? It's an old workbench, and I use it to paint props and that sort of thing. Broomstick. Oh, I have one over there. Okay, I have an old one over here. Could also use this for the prop, but no, let's keep it for painting. Okay, so let's light thinner. What we need. It's fine though. For spray painting, it's fine. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to give it a base coat of primer. I don't think I will use filler primer for this case. Just primer and then a little bit of spray paint, which is black. So that's where I'll be working outside. Yay! I'll be right back. One last thing to get, and that is a drip tray, just in case it starts dripping. I use this, in fact, for painting as well. It's a lot of wind outside, so So I have left the thingy there. It's drying for a little bit, and like about 2-3 minutes, I'll get it back in and I'll blow it with give it a bit of a, you know, a rundown with the heat gun. Okay, not the heat gun, really, with a sort of hair dryer. So let's have a look at the chat in the meantime. Okay. Okay, we seem to be caught up. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about this PVA kind of thing. It's the PVA and water thing. I believe it is. It would make sense for it to be a good sealer. Even PVA on its own. The problem for me right now is that it probably takes multiple passes to fill in all the pores properly, and it takes some time to actually get the result I want in a decent amount of time. So for me right now, it's not the best idea. Thinking back, of course, it makes sense not to use something like that. So obviously, I should have thought of it in advance. But to be honest, this is how I usually roll in the workshop. So yeah, I try stuff, doesn't work, move on to the next thing. But I'll try another. It feels like exploring. So yeah. Hmm. Okay, we don't need the. Well, we need the glue a bit later. Yes, we'll need that. This we don't need. So cool. I wanted to ask, like, the general feel of the chat, like if there are any projects you would like me to make in particular, like on live streams especially. Um, Let me know. Leave it in the comments. Leave it in the live chat. I always read the live chat and the comments always. I try to reply to all of them as much as I can. I do have my list of stuff to do for live streams, so um, I do have plans, but I really would like to see what works and what doesn't on live stream. I think so far sort of the leatherworking stuff works. To be fair, I've had sort of the same viewership on all the projects that I've done. I don't, I haven't, I don't feel like I've done something and then it's like, what's really so bad? Don't feel like I've done something like on live stream and then thought it was like a waste of time, you know? Not at all. This doesn't go here. What's happened? This goes here. It's supposed to go here. There we go. There. Everything in its place. So if you have any requests on what to make on live stream, whether it's foam crafting, leatherworking, let me know. I'll work it in the schedule. I'm doing the live streams every week, as I mean, some of you who join every week regularly will know that it's on a Sunday now, and it's a consistent kind of thing. While content videos are going up every 2 weeks, I've just uploaded the Thunderhammer from Thunderhammer from Warhammer 40k universe. We started that on live stream, and I think a couple of the next live streams will not be in the workshop, will be on the computer. I've got some 3D modeling perhaps to do, some sketching and designing to do. First week of June probably will be on a computer for sure, because I won't be in the workshop definitely, so I'll have to do something which I can do apart from it. What else? What else? What else? I'm trying to think what else I've been up to recently. Working on my Gambison. I can actually show you the Gambison right now. This part of it is done for now. Let me show you. So let me just. This is the Gambison that I've been working on. Yeah. This I bought it from a friend of mine who does reenactment, and this was, I believe, an archer's thing, Gambison, crossbowman, I don't know. It was obviously white with laces, and I don't like the fact that I have laces, so I made like these small buckles, roller buckles, and like tongues for them, and I made them, I stained them red, this very deep red. And this is going to be like a future video. in a couple of weeks time. So this is going to be a video, but I'm also obviously going to pair it with the belt, because just these on their own, they don't justify a whole length video. But it feels really, really good. I was going to make another one up here, but I thought it would be a bit too much. So far so good. And the idea is to have the belt sort of come somewhere around my waist over here, so I can have my sword over here, potions, blah blah blah. I've got some idea for this. I want, you know, I want to really carve this up and make it look really cool. So I think I really like this. Oh, by the way, this was a whole sleeved one. So I took off the sleeves. Actually, my mother helped me with stitching these shut, because these areas over here were open and they weren't stitched shut like my black gambeson. And I like this gambeson particularly because it opens in the front and it's very easy to just take it off and on. The other one, the black one, just you have to wear it from top to bottom and it's an ordeal. I also restitched some of the lines of quilting, so that whatever it is, like on the front, because they were getting loose. So yeah, that's what I've been working on recently. Now let's have a look at this. Now let's continue working on the axe. Now the axe is it's almost completely dry, but it doesn't obviously leave fingertips on it. But I think it needs either another coat or a coat of filler primer. I think I'm going to go ahead with the filler primer because there are a lot of pores which have opened up in the foam. As I said, when it seals, it opens up the pores, but it seals everything. So I'm going to do a round of filler primer. Just I think I have some left. It's not a lot, but I'll see if I'll see if I can make it last. Boy, that stinks. That filler primer is foul. Okay, so in the meantime, let us start working on a sort of leather wrap made out of foam. Now this is interesting. This is quite interesting. So I need to get my foam from up there. And how am I going to do that? Because it is too high up and I am short. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So this is 2 mil EVA foam. I have brown, I have blue. I think I won't use the blue because it's already. Then again, I do have brown, I think, which I've already cut into. Yes. Yes. Perfect. Okay. Let's use this. Because I want to have like a brown leather around it. Okay. I need one last thing which I need to get from the kitchen, so bear with me. This is aluminum foil or silver foil. If you bunch it up, it has this bit of a wrinkly texture. Now, we need to cut a small wrap. I think I'm going to cut like along this line. So let's mark. I want to mark with a pen now. Like and maybe 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Doesn't need to be very accurate. It's fine if it's not. Okay. Oh wait, that's half an inch. No, 3/4 of an inch. That's about it. I mean, it doesn't really need to be perfect. Yeah, we'll work with this for now, but I think I'm going to make like several others later. So the way this works is very simple. We heat it up with a heat gun at 200 degrees. And while it's hot, do it one bit at a time. While it's hot, we press the thing in it, and it gives it, I don't know if it's visible on camera, probably not because it's very, very subtle, but it gives it a bit of a texture. See? The same technique can actually emulate stone as well if you're making like DND tiles or EVA, with XPS foam or that sort of thing. You can use the aluminium silver foil ball trick as well. You can press it, you can roll it, and as long as the texture is uneven, it will look cool. Because nothing in nature is even, well, rarely, at least. In nature, chaos reigns, and it's all about being properly random. In the smaller scope of things, at least. Obviously, this effect would be a lot more pronounced on thicker leather because there isn't much where this can compress. Okay, I'm just going to okay. It's a very subtle texture, but it's there. Let me see if I can maybe. Very subtle, but it's there. Okay. Now I can leave this to the side. I don't know whether I will. I don't think I will paint this. At most, I will give it like some weathering, because it is actually heat sealed now. The brown is a nice brown. It's not too far off from actual leather. it's a lot more coffee. It can pass away for what do you call it, a stained leather. And if I need, I can probably I can stain it with like leather stain. So again, let me check on the X. So we have some drips. Set it to 50 degrees or use a hair dryer. And this will help it dry faster. Probably is already dry. It's really sunny outside, even though it's what? Almost 6 o'clock. Oh. Ooh, okay. Cool, 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 cool. So, wherever the filler primer took hold, that's really dry. I need to just um, take care of these drips. I wonder if I can just remove them with my finger. Probably, yeah, it's just a little bit of paint. And it's a defect in the metal, shall we say. Let's give it a story. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the top has a little bit of paint that still needs to dry. Hey, Senpai Fish, nice to meet you. Nice to see you here. Not meet you, I think we've met before. Gonna go give it another black coating. Hey, Tony, how are you? Making axes today. Foam axes. Last week and the week before was hammers. Today it's axes. Okay, so that is drying off. Will soon be ready, and to give it the final touches. I'm going to need this one last time. I'm going to start preparing my paints. This still I am not very sure how or if I'm going to use it at all. It's a cool way to make like a leather texture on it. Maybe like, let's have a look. Should we do a leather wrap like this? I actually quite like that, but it's like a very small, and at the bottom of the. Yes, cool. Okay, I like this. This is happening now. I need to cut this down to length. So I'm going to compare this to my actual hatchet in terms of length of the shaft. So somewhere around here. I'm going to cut that quick. I don't have my bandsaw plugged, so let's do that with a handsaw. I got a Japanese pull saw, works just fine. It's going to be right behind the microphone, so let me see if I can. You'll have to see yourself a little bit there in the chat and just do this. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So, does it work? Cool. Let me just mute the microphone just in case it will. That took me less than 10 seconds, I think. I'm excited to see how to weather it. Yeah, weathering. In this case, I think I'm going to make it look a little bit more iron than actual steel. So it's going to have like tones of like rust, a bit of dirt in it, and obviously the black for dust and grime. I think it's going to look really awesome. So here is what we are going to work with. I'm just going to sand off like where I cut to make sure it's smooth. Just smoothing, just sanding the rest of it off to make sure it has a soft grip to it. For no particular reason, it was very smooth to begin with, but I wanted to have a soft grip. So I'm going to go to a finer grit now as well. This was what? This is 100 grit. So let's go for even smaller. Okay, perfect. Perfect. I'm going to also age this. I've got a really nice kind of nice. It smells horrible. It's like a wax which is infused with like a walnut stain. So let me just cut this off a little because it has like an X on it. This is the point I used to turn it. I'm just going to cut it quickly off. Good. Done. Done. Very simple. Looks also a little bit rough. Perfect. Now let's just wipe it down. Make sure we haven't got too much sawdust on it. Cool. This is the point where I start seeing the finish line and I get really excited and worked up, which is where I am most likely to make mistakes. Mistakes that will set me back. So, this is the wax polish black bison. I can use a piece of old cloth. I have just drawn out this piece. Just a piece of cotton. This is what I used to make the first version of the Skyrim Warhammer. The first time I actually needed to sort of stain the whole shaft a little bit dark. Jesus, whew, this stinks. Ugh, stinks. I use this thing. because you're supposed to use this as a polish for stained wood, or for like actual, what is this, walnut or mahogany? I think this is for walnut. This is for walnut. So, but basically using this, it makes it a very faint stain, sort of, you know? Look at that. Look at the difference. On camera, it doesn't really. Yeah, I used it before. It smells fine. It does. I don't know why. I mean, it's wax. I don't know um what's so bad about it. As in, I can't understand why it smells so bad. Let's see if I can. It also sort of darkens the wood a little bit. Okay. Top, so it permeates through the end grain as well. Okay. Just a quick wipe down with a clean towel to make sure I don't have a lot of extra residue. But basically I can show you the comparison now between before and after. So let's hope I never use this again. It smells so bad, man. I have no idea why. It's not cheap either. Um, so this is what it looked like before, and this is what we made it look like. It's a little bit darker. Funny Tony. Says it smells fine from where he's at. Okay, so I think I want the leather wrap somewhere down the bottom. Um, no, now the side which is textured is this side. Yeah, this side. So for this, very simple, cyanoacrylate, but Mhm. I'm also going to use a small nail twice, so for the aesthetics of it, rather than anything else. I have two small nails. Um, these will do. Recently, I've been getting a little bit into nails, like different kind of nails. Had no idea there were so many. Clutch nails, blacksmith nails, rose heads. I had no idea. But it's nice to learn. So, yeah, this works just fine. A drop of CA glue, cyanoacrylate, super glue, just a drop. You don't need a lot at all. And you just place it there. It grabs almost instantly. You can feel it heat up. Okay, and this is where we're going to drive our first nail right through it. Just to make sure the nail doesn't poke on the other side with it. No, just about. Let me mute the microphone. Okay, so first nail in, and poke out through the other side. We're good. So now we start wrapping around. So first wrap is a complete wrap. Then we start moving down at a constant angle so that we have a nice even wrap. the last bit, wrap it on itself so that it closes in on its own, and use a drop of CA glue again. Just a drop to close it. Have some squeeze out there. Not you, go. Stuck it to my finger. Nice. Well done, Kurt. Good going. So let's go to remove that extra bit. Close the glue because we don't need it anymore. Super glue and DVA foam work really nicely together. But they're also good for details, not for like big pieces like I wouldn't have used super glue on that axe head. Okay, so let me just mute again. Destruction. Hooray for the gods of destruction. So put it in the wrong place, but that's fine. Okay. The wrap is okay. Wrap is okay, I think. Yeah. Okay, so now we'll leave it to dry. Could have gone a little bit further down though. But that's fine. I wonder if I should use where is it? This is the purple one. Should I use the stain? No. We'll weather it. Maybe. Okay, so let's see about the axe head. So let's see if it is dried. Let's see if we can help it along. Okay, so yeah, it's almost dry. We can help it along with this. Okay. It feels pretty dry. Slightly tacky around the back. Cheeks are pretty dry. Top is dry. Slightly tacky at the bottom. It's got a bit of a cast metal look, which is obviously not what you want for a weapon, but it's a cool look anyway. So, yeah, I think we can start working on this now. Just going to leave it on the stave just for ease of access. Here for now. Take off this, but I don't need it. Cool, Evo stick will soon be ready from it. Might actually use a nail on either side of the head just to finish a look. Yeah. So, paints. New paint box. I need this is the silver leaf. I need the pewter rub and buff. Do I need paint brushes? Probably. Yeah. I have this big, like cheap chip brush kind of thing. Okay. So I need my palette. I think we've had this for like 25 years. Um, and you really don't need a lot. I'm saying this in advance because I am definitely going to be putting a lot on it, because I always go overboard with this sort of thing. Here goes. Okay, so I think I should really dial this back. Paper. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to be putting a lot of it. Adam Savage had a good trick. He made a drying oven, just a cardboard box upside down with a hair dryer jammed on the works well. Yes, I saw that. I think he used it in the when he was making the Shining Labyrinth model. Um, that's really good when you need to have like a mass production kind of thing. It's not the case here right now, but it's a good trick to have on hand. Like a drying kiln for foam props is a good idea in general. Yeah, I'm gonna need a lot more than this. I can just. The problem I'm having is, yeah, overboard it is. I'm going overboard. Yeah, I love the shine on Rub and Buff. I've put a lot on the blade. Theoretically, this should be the smoothest part of it. So second iteration will have a smaller grit to sand it with. Ooh, okay. What was that? Oh, I think I ripped some of the paint off. Oh no, it's okay. Never mind. We're going to cover it from the back. Okay, so this is the back, obviously, which we haven't done, and this is the part where we have done, and it really looks metallic, doesn't it? It really looks metallic. Okay. I'm being really rough and savage with the paint job. I would normally take a lot more care to do this properly. It's just a demonstration of the technique, I suppose. Ideally would dry brush this on. It's not coming off bad though. Okay, so the back needs to be done. The top still has a texture, but at least it doesn't have a gap, as in along the seam. That I'm very, very happy with. Because getting rid of that seam would be very difficult to do right now, and it would be very pronounced. There is a line, of course, but there isn't a gap. Looks like the metal has been folded over, which is fine in my case. Okay, just doing the bottom part. Of course, the bottom is not going to be as shiny or glistening as or lustrous as the top. Ooh, careful! I don't want to get my Maker Central T-shirt dirty. But it works. It just works. Okay. Now, give it a second while I clean off the brushes or the brush. This is the same brush I'm going to be using for the weathering. So this is important that it's clean. A thumbtack might look good as a rivet on the sides of the handle for the blade. Just hammer on them. Give a handwork look. That actually might not be, but that's actually a good idea. Thing is, I don't have steel colored thumbtacks. Ooh, that. Uh, hmm. My first idea was to take the thumbtack and just paint over it with rub and buff. But now that I'm thinking about it, I don't have deep enough thumbtacks. I may have something else. I may have something which I use for the original. No, not this one. Where is it? I might have something which I use for the original Skyrim Warhammer. I think I kept it. See, the thumbtacks are too small. It might be like just as a decoration though. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I can put one of these in the back, just along upholstery nail. That's a good idea though. Thanks. You remind me of it. Thank you, Rockinar. That's reminded me of it. Thanks. I will use it. And that is already finished with some rub and buff from years ago. So that's cool. Wash this. Somewhat clean, I suppose. This. Okay. Just make sure that thing is fine. Okay. We'll be finishing up soon. We're almost done. About 15-30 minutes. Okay, so handle is here. I need to start preparing the weathering stuff, but I think first I'm going to attach it to the handle. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. I think I will actually use CA glue for this rather than contact cement. And that's not a half bad hatchet or tomahawk or whatever you want to call it. It's not bad so far. Okay, so I'm going to use glue, super glue. I think at this point it's just easier to get in there. Now, where do I want this to be? Probably if people are going to hold it from this side, the nail, it makes sense for it to be in the front. So if I have the front here, the nail, I'm mostly going to be covering it with my hand. So as is, right? So let's lift up this a little bit, put glue around the back and the sides. Try not to let it drip over the rest of the prop, and then just twist it in place, and it already grabbed hold. Now if we try to twist it any further, it will tear up the foam. So this is stuck, and that is as easy as it gets when trying to put something like this in. Okay, so now I want to press this in the back over there. I'm going to have to do it against the side of the table so that I don't obviously damage the foam. I'm going to mute the microphone just to make sure that I don't make a lot of noise for you guys. It's not bad. Thanks for the IDR. It reminded me. See if I can get like a little bit of the rub and buff and just smear it there. Okay, so now the prop is essentially done, but let us take it one step further and weather it. Now, the idea of spray painting it black and then putting the rub and buff on is that the recess is already mostly black, so we have some weathering going on there. But we need to introduce some other colors, a more earthier, pretending to be an expert here, but let's say we're introducing earthier colors. Yeah. Now, ideally, you wouldn't use these paints for the very simple reason that they're very expensive for what they are. But I do have my Citadel Workshop paints, so these will have to do. So what have we got here? We've got Reclent Flash Shade, Agrax Earth Shade, maybe some Nine Oil as well. I managed to find it. Where is it? Agrax Earth Shade. Yeah. Where's the Nuln Oil I had? Is it this one? No. Never mind. I thought I had some Nuln Oil, but I can't find it. Just fine. It's fine. I don't need to have the exact. So why is this not closing now? There we go. That and I got some extra paints such as burnt sienna will do just fine, and some copper to give it a little bit of a metallic sheen. Okay, let's flip this around so that we don't dirty it too much. Now, the brush seems to be somewhat clean. I'd rather not use. I'll leave the spoil last. If I see that I don't need it, I won't use it. So let's mix a little bit of. I said a little bit, Kurt. A little bit of copper, a little bit of burnt sienna. We won't be painting with this. We'll be just, what shall we say, like weathering. That is way too much paint for what I need. Why do I always do this? Every time. Every time. I can't believe it. Now, let's have a drop of black. Okay, so that will darken. Hopefully not take over. These are all acrylics, so they will mix with each other just fine. Okay. Maybe it needs to be a little bit um, runnier. Let's just transfer it over here. Just wash the paintbrush. Now with a damp paintbrush, I'll take some of this, prepare an old piece of cloth. I have plenty here. Let me just cut off a piece. These are the same rags that I use for my staining of the leather, so like the antiquing and stuff like that. Okay, so with this I am just going to go over the blade. Now I know this looks like too much and I hope this works because yeah, perfect, it works. Okay, it just gives it a bit of an earthier tone, okay, and a bit of a warmer look. It doesn't seem like much on camera, but I assure you it works. I just smear it on and then rub it off and it just remains in the recesses. It just gives it a bit of a tone. Okay. Now I'm being very wary on the front because I don't want that to be really rusty. Now let's compare. This is the side which we haven't done and this is not which we have done. Got a bit of a muter tone to it, which is what I was going for. Okay, the back. For example, in that crack over there, in the crevice, I want to really get a lot of paint in there. Because probably that is somewhere which would have accumulated dirt and rust over the years. See, so I would go over it again and wipe it off. Okay, top next. Now I'm trying to be very careful around the wood because I don't want to get this sort of weathering on the wood. Okay. Make sure to also mind the edges because when you weather a face, it tends to drip over the other side. So make sure to wipe that part as well. Okay, bottom is going to be a little bit rough. Okay. Now for the edges, I'm just going for the thinner piece. I'm just going to go very gently. Make sure I don't get any on the wood if possible, though I did already get some on the wood. Or did I get silver on the wood? Have to sand that off a little bit later, but yeah. Probably do that right now and fix it. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I think this still looks a little bit too bright, so I'm going to actually do a bit of an Agrax Airshade. This is basically an ink wash. Um, Smaller brush. Let's see if this works. So I'm seeing that it's developing cracks. It's got a crack along the side. I wonder where that came from. Could be the rub and buff reacting with the paint. So that's an interesting. Could be the rub and buff on the primer though. We'll have to wait and see. So anyway, bit of a wash. Let's see if this just paint the side. I like to also take it off with Eric. That gives it a bit of a darker color. Again, I try not to be very even. The crack, I'm really sorry that happened. It's really such a bummer. I really wasn't expecting that crack to appear. It's not like it's under a lot of strain over there at all, so it must be something to do with the paint. And it's not even deep in the foam. So it's probably the primer. I mean, that tends to happen when you don't let the primer dry properly, so yeah. But overall, I'm not disappointed. Not disappointed at all. Okay. What do you guys think? Took us what? 2.5 hours? Had we actually let it dry properly and continue to work on it tomorrow, those cracks wouldn't have appeared. I can guarantee it. So yeah. Excuse me. So, finally I can sit down a little bit. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Senpai Fish. It's not. I mean, for the amount of time, yeah, yes, sir, it adds character. For the amount of effort and time it took, this is not a bad prop to make. It only took us 2.5 hours. Materials are relatively cheap, I'm sure anywhere else but in Malta. We just used some EVA foam. We really didn't need a big piece at all. It was just a longer piece. A piece of dowel, a piece of 2mm foam just to make it like the wrap. But probably also, like, while we're at it, just give a wash to the wrap as well. This might be the thing that we do that ruins the whole prop, but I'm committed to this. See? I got some on. Let's see. Looks Jenny thinking to make the handle a bit grubby now. That is true. Maybe I will. Like, as I said, it's just like the prototype version of like a commission that I have. So I want to really work on it properly, like for the actual commission. I've been given like free reign, like free creative reign on how to do this. I wasn't even given a shape. I just thought the tomahawk would look good. I think that darkens so okay, so let me show it on the bigger camera. Right? I think that looks a little bit better. Yeah. Yeah. I think that looks a little bit better. Okay. What do you think? I was thinking the same thing though, maybe mushroom at the top as well. That would be okay. So you're right. You're completely right. Um, this is something that I struggle a lot with. When I'm making props, it depends what kind of props they are. In this case, this is going to be a prop for an X throwing range, right? So realism in this kind of, like, this is something like for people to take photos with, something realistic was not expected of me. Um, so mushrooming out the top would be a good idea to make it realistic as a prop, and I agree completely. I may actually end up doing that. I don't know how I would do it. I would probably just set it down and just bang it with a hammer on top or with a mallet, sort of trying to flare it out a little bit. Um, but the idea for this prop is not to be so realistic, which is why I've used TVA foam and like the techniques that I've used. Definitely worthy points that you're mentioning. I would use that technique if I were making a more realistic prop. In my case, it's not as necessary, so I don't think it's worth investing the time to make it look more real. Okay, I mean it's for me. I think right now, and for like my friend who actually wants to have this, like, it's decent enough. I think the fact that the head glistens a bit is good. The fact it looks like an axe is good, and I think for the time it took, it's decent. Yeah. But on the second version, on the other ones that I'm going to make, the shaft needs to be a little bit weathered. Yes, so maybe I'll scuff it up with like some sandpaper, a couple of like notches over here where like it would have caught on things, and weather them as well. Probably with this beautiful thing that I use for, yeah, this, burn it a little bit, give it a little bit of character. Like the bottom, for example, you can or the top, you can darken it very easily using something like this, a blowtorch or a lighter. It gives it a bit of a, oof. Now the wax is the wax is burning now, so nice. See, give it like the whole thing, the whole shaft would have that sort of weathered look. Over a weekend kind of project, that would be perfect. I think that's what I would do. But for 2.5 hours on a Sunday evening, the end of a weekend, not so bad. Not so bad at all. So, I think I kept up with all the comments in the live chat kind of thing. What do you think? Other than that, yeah, I think we did well. So, I think it's about time to wrap things up. What's the time? It's 6:30. Perfect time to wrap things up. Starting about dinner over here. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for Rockinar, Senpai Fish, Sparky, Melissa, Pisaria. Chief is on the chat as well. So thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for participating in the chat and for watching and for your contributions. They have certainly been worth it. The pin at the end was a good idea. Thanks. Um, so yeah, I will definitely see you next week on the live chat. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that you keep on making stuff. As always, if you haven't watched my latest video, it's the Thunder Hammer from Warhammer 40k. It is up on the YouTube channel. It is live right now, so go give it a watch, leave a comment, like, all the usual things. I love reading your feedback. I actually learn a lot from the stuff that people tell me. And I think overall, over the past couple of months, I think the videos have been becoming a little bit better as well. So yeah, I hope that you're enjoying them as well. Oh, awesome! Thank you very much, R. So, thank you very much for watching me. I am Kurt. This has been the Corso Workshop livestream. I hope that you enjoyed it. I really had fun making this thing. Thank you very much for your contributions in chat and by participating and for suggesting things. I will see you next week on Sunday, today week. And in the meantime, keep on making stuff, stay safe, take care, and thank you. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye.